Welcome to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I am Beth Cooper.
I'm Stacey Earlywine, and I am loving that Beth Cooper loves the weather outside.
I do not. I don't. I wish I did. I wish I could say that I did. I don't want to be a negative person, but the humidity.
Yeah. Not according to your Facebook post.
Oh
Those
my
of
gosh.
you that love this weather.
Yeah. Get outside and enjoy your hellscape, I think is what it said. But I just can't. I just don't feel good in the heat. My body doesn't feel good.
See, isn't that weird? Because mine's just it must be our different ailments. Because I don't. Nothing even hurts on me. My neck, I'm just loosey goosey.
I just
my
feel,
ankles don't hurt. Nothing hurts.
You don't feel. It doesn't make you feel sick. I feel completely nauseated and sick, and I want to pass out.
If I don't have, I did get out last night and pull weeds, and I did get a little bit over here. I do have to take a lot of breaks. Mm-hmm. But doesn't it seem like we just went from this to this?
Yes, and the bright side of that is that we'll be from this to this in what seems like no time, too. I mean, everything goes by so fast, it's hard to really be a complainer about anything because it's not going to stick around very long.
I don't even know what the date is.
Today's June 24th. It's my mother's birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
Yeah, by the time this airs, her birthday will be over. But if you know my mom, Debbie DeVore, be sure to wish her happy birthday.
Wow. Huh. No, yep. I don't even know where I mean, it was just April.
I know. June, I'm moving June up to one of the fastest months of the year. I truly believe November is the fastest month of the year. Mm-hmm. But and May is a pretty fast one too, but I don't know. I think June's going to be in the top 3. It goes by so fast. It's like 4th of July before we know it. Summer just started and then boom, 4th of July's here.
I know. And once the 4th comes, then
it's
time to go back to school. Seems like, I don't know. Time just goes by too fast.
It does go by fast. And I kind of think it goes by faster than it used to, and I know a lot of people say that's because you're getting older or whatever, but no, even the children of today
kids say it now.
Kids say it too.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, nobody said that. Summers lasted forever.
They lasted forever.
Summer went on, and it was just a different feeling. I don't know now.
I don't know, because we just played outside all day long, and well, when I was little, we didn't have remote controls, and we only had 3 channels. Mm-hmm. So you didn't sit around, you didn't binge, we didn't have a bunch of, we just didn't do, I don't know, they just crapped all day. I mean, it was boring.
I had the best childhood because...
Oh, I love my child. I would go back.
I did all of the things. I did all of the outside things. But I also had cable, and I grew up with MTV. And we did binge watch MTV, and I do know every video that played in the 1980s. I was there. I saw it all on the premieres. I know all the VJs. I was young, but I still went outside. You still had your MTV,
when did MTV
outside.
Show up? Was it 87?
1983, right?
Was it 83?
Mm-hmm. I believe it was. Tyler, have to Google that.
When did MTV start?
82 or 83, I think.
Well, see, I was in high school.
The first video was that played?
Yeah. Video killed the radio star.
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
1981. 81, yeah. So I graduated 8th grade. Mm-hmm. So I did have the MTV years, but I'm talking when I was little, playing and stuff like that. We didn't have all that because that would have been the late 70s. That would have been the 70s for me. Mm-hmm. I graduated 8th grade in 81, so my high school years was 82 through 85.
Yeah.
But then I had my college years 86 and 87. Mm-hmm. I spent my summer of 87
Panama
City Beach. Yeah.
Lucky you.
Gosh, it was so much fun. I loved it, yeah. But no, my childhood was fantastic. I loved my childhood. Wouldn't change it for nothing.
No, me either. But summers just went on, and it didn't feel like they went by like they do now.
Oh, my gosh. It's so funny because, raised on South Locust Street, and it was me, Paula Cooper, Angela Martin, which was Angela Owens, Tommy Walters, Jackie Thatcher, we were the South Enders. Misty Woods, Sonja Woods, which Sonja Harrison. Well, she's not. She just recently got married. I mean, Rhonda Woods. There was just a whole group of South End kids that we literally the Becks, the Purr Singers. We all just ran around the whole South End of town. We never crossed over Blue Mound. We were never allowed to go to the reservoir because there was always bad things that happened down there. And we never crossed Main Street unless our parents gave us the okay to go to the Dairy Queen. Then we could go to Dairy Queen, but we never did cross Main Street to get there, of course, because it was still on that side. But no, we ran that, and we never did cross Stanford. We had that whole radius that we could do anything we wanted to. Man, we were all over that place. We just walk back and forth from house to house.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because Jim and I have lived in the house that we've lived in now for, how old's Mac? Is Mac, what is he now? 31, 32, 33. Mac is 34 years. And do you know how many, and Angela, my friend Angela Martin was actually raised on Martin Street there, just literally down from mine. Do you know how many times as a child I walked past the house that I live in now?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like where my backyard. Oh, not the front of the house, but the backyard. Yeah, where Hard Tugs lived.
And I bet today you don't see big groups of kids walking from house to house.
Oh, no. We were bicycles. We walked everywhere. We always walked past the houses that the boys we thought were cute. We walked past those daily. Yeah, it's just so funny. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, summertime was just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it was kind of, with the exception of, have you ever watched the movie The Sandlot?
Yes.
That's my childhood. That's my, and when I say childhood, I meant like that time where and I don't remember them ever, I mean, this was like a time probably from 7 on, 7 till you're too cool to be, 7 to what? 14, 15 till you're too cool to go outside. Then you vegetate, and then at that point, then your childhood turns into you sleep till noon, and then you eat Tombstone pizzas all day long, and you watch soap operas, and then you talk on your phone to your friends, or you come everybody, or you watch. Then you get. I'll never forget whenever we got HBO. I'll never forget. I was at Paula's house. I was at Paula Cooper's, and we were sitting there, and Pat had just got HBO, and I'll never forget they brought that little box in.
Yeah.
And Pat, we're like, what is this? This is HBO. You could get movies. Of course, Paula, I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'll never forget.
What did you watch?
Huh?
What'd you watch?
Halloween.
Oh.
The very first Halloween, yeah. And so anyway, I ran home, and I remember running through, I'm like, Mom, you're not going to believe what Paula's got. They've got this thing called HBO, and it's this little box. And I ran to the back room, and guess who was there? Installing HBO in our house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's the cable guy was there installing HBO for us, and I was thrilled. Oh, there was nothing like getting that, because you got that little guide. You got this little HBO guide, and it showed the movies and stuff like that. Oh, I remember that like it was yesterday.
Oh, fun.
Oh, yeah, it was. But yeah, then like I said, those teenage years, then you'd spend the night with somebody, you'd stay up all night, you'd sleep till noon, we'd walk over to Andy's Market, get Tombstone pizzas, come back, cook pizzas. Mom got off work at 4 o'clock. She worked for my grandfather over in Clay City, so we knew it took her about 15 minutes to get home because she drives like an old lady. And then, so we knew she left about 4 o'clock. We had till 4:15 to get all the chores done that needed to be done.
Wait until the last minute and do everything. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was,
Those were the days.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Did you watch soap operas?
Not really, no. A little bit Days of Our Lives, but not really too much into the soap operas.
At this time, it was 11 to 11:30, because like this time, like Young and the Restless was only a half hour long. So 11 to 11:30 was Young and the Restless. 11:30 to noon was Edge of Night. Okay. 12 to 1, All My Children. 1 to 2, One Life to Live. 2 to 3, General Hospital. 3 o'clock, then you watch Phil Donahue. And then 4 o'clock, you had 15 minutes till Mom got home.
Oh my gosh. So you didn't have like the other cable channels like at that time, like TV and Nickelodeon and
I never watched Nickelodeon. Didn't come till this was when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And then at that time, so this is like we're talking those junior high years, then and then my teenage year, like high school, then MTV came along, and then it was but I still watched then the morning till your soap operas came on. Then you binge watched MTV when MTV was really cool and you had the videos.
Well, right.
Yeah, but we all had TVs in our bedrooms. Each one of us, we all had TVs. I mean, Mom, we all had. I mean, they would never came out of our bedrooms except to get. Mom would be like, "Are you girls alive?" Of course, by that time, my sisters are gone. There's such a big age difference. There's like 8.5 years between me and Diane, and over 5.5 years between me and Linda. So like in '81, after I graduated 8th grade in '81, Linda graduated high school. No, Linda graduated in '80. So Linda, when I was in 80, and Linda graduated high school in 1980 when I was in 7th grade. So then in 81, when I graduated 8th grade, Linda got married that year. So literally, I was the only one.
Right.
So like upstairs, there's 2 bedrooms upstairs and a bathroom. So literally upstairs, I had like my bedroom. I had a whole room to myself that was just my TV room and my own bathroom.
Wow.
So like my high school years.
So you're kind of like the baby of the family, but also the only child. You have traits of both. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Diane was gone. Diane had moved to Panama City Beach when I was like 9. She'd moved down there, and then Linda and David, they lived down in Reinert for a little bit. Then they moved to Texas. And it was so funny that when Diane and Lynn would come home, and that my mom and dad were so relaxed that they'd be like, "Oh, my sister would be like, 'Are you kidding me?'"
Uh-huh.
And they'd be like,
I have some friends that have older children, and then they have a younger child that came along later, and I think that they parent the younger one a little differently than they did the older ones. I think they were strict with the older ones, and
they were.
When they're just kind of
my mom would be like, "Well, I trust Stacey. I never trusted you 2 girls." She did.
That makes sense.
And I was the daughter that was a little bit. I always had more sense than my sisters. Mm-hmm. I still do. Just say, she knew it even on her last breath. But yeah, no, I always did. I was the type of person nobody was gonna. If I did something wrong, it's because I wanted to do it.
Right.
But I've always had common sense, and I've always knew that line.
Yeah.
I always knew the line. I wasn't perfect, but I always knew a line, and nobody was going to make me do anything I didn't want to do. And I've always had, I may not have had the book smarts, but I had common sense.
And common sense is so much more important.
I could always get myself out of a pickle, and I'm always on the defense, and I always know what's going on around me.
It floors me how many people don't have common sense. And looking at like high school students, just because I have a high school student now, but I also have one that's graduated, just friends of theirs and conversations that they've had and they've brought home to me, and these friends of theirs are like top of the class valedictorian, salutatorian kind of people, like 4.0, and absolutely zero common sense.
I'll take common sense over book smarts any day of the week. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what are these parents doing that they're not teaching their kids these basic concepts?
Yeah, because it's like, it's one of those things that I'll never forget. I had a friend of mine that was very intelligent. Okay, I'll never forget the very first time that we went off to St. Louis together, and it was the first time Mom let me go over there. I think we were like 17 or 18, and we were going to Six Flags. We were still in high school, I think. Might have been our senior year. And Mom was like, "Okay, I'm gonna let you do this, or whatever." So it was just a bunch of girls, And that time, teenagers could get, because we were gonna spend the night. So Mom was like, "Okay." She'd have never let my sisters do this. Okay, but she was like, "Yeah, you can go do that." So we got this hotel. We were going over, and we were all pretty good friends. But we're like, tricksying around town. And it's like I was driving, and it's like I always was cautious. Like, okay, this is going on over there. This is going on here. Okay, and this is happening behind me.
Yeah.
And my friends are like, and I'm like, don't get over here. Come over this way. I just got come here. Get over here.
Yeah. They don't have awareness of where they are.
I'm like, okay.
What's going on around them.
I said, okay, because here's the deal. Because if you know what was going to happen, because if you got kidnapped, those 3 guys over there, one was blonde, one had dark hair, one was wearing Levi's, one was doing this. He had a black jacket on, blah, blah, blah. I knew everything that was going on around me.
Yeah. And I would have been the same exact way. We would have made a good pair back then.
Yeah. Right.
I always knew that kind of stuff. But I think my girls are like that too.
Oh, yeah.
But they have so many friends that aren't like Carissa. She'll for example, volleyball season last year, they get on the bus. Where's the girls are just blindly getting on the bus. And they're like, where are we headed today? Oh, we're going to Fairfield. Okay. So then they get halfway to Fairfield and they're like, are we in Hartville? And it's like, no, honey, we're headed south, not north. Like Carissa would be like, why would we be in Hartville? We left Flora and we headed south to Fairfield. Like, you don't go through Hartville. And they're like, oh, I don't know. It just looked like a little town. She's like, this is Jeff. Like we played Fairfield last week. Why do you not know this? And why do you get on a bus and not know where you're at? They also, when they're in a vehicle with their parents, they don't pay attention because they're always on a screen. Yeah. So they don't. They couldn't even tell you how to get back to their house in town.
Yeah, my dad, whenever we would go anywhere, Dad would be like, pay attention, babe, this is where we're going. But yeah, my dad always took us. Of course, when I was younger, too, we didn't have all that stuff, so we were paying attention. But, like, movies were big in the car with the boys. Be like, okay, boys, we're going, when we drive, because we drove everywhere, we're going south down this road. Now, interstates, when you're going north and south or this, and east and west, even numbers, east, even, north and south, odd, this is white ones or county road,
maybe it's because I have an internal narration of my life constantly going on in my head, and so when I'm around my kids or whatever, it's just coming out of my mouth. So I've basically narrated everything all of these years. Maybe that's why they paid attention.
Yeah, my dad
I don't know what I did different. But
I always knew what was going on.
They always know what's going on. They're very observant.
And speaking of that,
all right, let's see an ad.
This led into our ad that we didn't know it was going to. You may not remember this ad. Look at this.
Oh.
Strong, sure, built to go. This was an ad from the 70s, and I remember this ad. Now Goodyear gives you the 3 power safety radials. I love this Goodyear tire ad because I remember it because it's got like those cheetahs on there.
Yeah.
That's run really, really, really fast.
Uh-huh.
And I remember I picked this ad because it's like I remember when this first came out, and my dad, I'll never forget, this is so funny, Goodyear tires. My dad was the reason why they did ads, because whatever they told my dad,
he would believe it.
That's it. And I'll never forget, they did this ad, and they not only did it, but then they had a commercial of this. Of course, there was a tire and there was a truck, and the truck was going, and next to the truck on the ad were the cheetahs running side by side.
I remember something like that.
And I'll never forget my dad saying, "Well, Dallas, I don't know why anybody would buy that truck with those tires if it can't outrun a cheetah."
Yeah.
So my dad was like, "I don't think I'll ever buy Goodyear." And I'm like,
funny.
"Okay, Dad."
That's
and
funny.
I said I was coming across that ad. And I'm like, "Okay, I got to tell. That's a Bill Hemphill story." But I bought that. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I remember that ad from back when he. Oh yeah. My dad. Thank you, Ty. My dad was one of those. Whatever, you could sell him anything. Yeah, that's why Mom took his credit card away when he. Oh yeah, he would be like, "Oh, well, I gotta have that."
Well, good thing you didn't have cable then. He would have been watching QVC.
Oh my gosh,
they can sell me anything.
Yeah, my dad. Oh yeah, she'd have definitely had to take that away. But we're gonna take a commercial break, and we're gonna come back with I was going through some of my stuff, and I just found some old newspapers. We're just gonna go through some fun stuff I found.
Okay.
At your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville, you can count on experts to have the solutions to keep you running on the road or in the field. More than just your car, the Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville carry a large inventory of Napa products for farms, heavy trucks, and just about everything that moves. Experienced associates understand your needs and are ready to help with the perfect part at a great value. That's Napa Know-How at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville. Briscoe Surplus Sales on the northeast edge of Flora is your one-stop do-it-all shop. Looking for rugged boots and footwear from great brands like Lacrosse, Rocky, and Carolina? They're there. How about top-notch small engine parts and service? Briscoe Surplus Sales has it. Whether you're wiring your switches or switching your wiring, Briscoe Surplus Sales has the solution and the know-how to help you get the job done right the first time. Briscoe Surplus Sales, your one-stop do-it-all shop.
We like technology at Flora Savings Bank. Here's what you can accomplish in our mobile banking app in less than 30 seconds. See account balances in your transactions, set up an account alert, make a transfer between accounts, get an alert text message about your transfer, pay a bill, turn your debit card off and then back on. It all happens in the palm of your hand with our free My Bank to Go app. Search My Bank to Go in the App Store or Google Play and give mobile banking a try. Flora Savings Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I'm Beth Cooper.
I'm Stacey Earlywine, and I came across some papers. We were over at Don Thomas's, and we need to get back over and see our friend.
Yep.
He was in the shop the other day getting a haircut, and he's got some more He's like, you running out of material yet? I'm like, well, I'm getting close. We're getting there, so it's about time to go visit Dawn. So maybe we can get over there sometime. And we went over to his house. Of course, we used a lot of Rena's stuff because she had tons and tons and tons
she sure
of
did.
stuff for us. And I just took a bunch of pictures of some old newspaper clippings and stuff that she had, and just the way they wrote back in the day.
Yep.
So and I'm not really sure. I didn't really, when you're over there, you're just kind of taking pictures and stuff. Some of the pictures, I'm not a photographer. Not a photographer at all.
I know.
Yeah.
You try. You do your best. You do your best.
I do my best. But anyway, so this was kind of funny. This one says, get away thwarted.
Thwarted. Get away thwarted.
Thwarted. Who came up with the word name thwarted?
I don't know, but I kind of like it. We should
Thwarted.
Thwarted.
3 Kentuckians from Louisville.
It's always the Kentuckians.
It is attempt to escape with dead woman's money
Oh, my.
and jewels.
In Clay County?
But prompt work failed the trio.
Ooh.
An unusual thing happened in the affairs of Mrs. Bernice Milligan, the woman who was killed in the Sunday afternoon auto collision near Xenia.
Oh, my gosh. What's the year on this, do you know? Stay tuned. We might find
Stay
it.
tuned. We might find out. I don't know.
Okay, sorry. Keep going.
I'm thinking the 30s. Most of these articles are from the 30s.
Okay.
On Monday, Lambert Lally and Mike Feeney Jr. of Louisville, Kentucky, arrived in Flora. Lally is the nephew of S.J. Milligan, husband of the dead woman. The young fellows caucused with N.J. Branson, who had the body of Mrs. Milligan here awaiting disposition. From Flora, they went to Centralia and got in touch with Mr. Milligan at the hospital. He had so far recovered that he was able to travel on Tuesday. So the 3 started back to Louisville on the Southern Railway night train. They took with them the money and jewelry belonging to the dead woman. Funeral director Branson received word of their departure with the belongings and drove furiously to Centralia, but the train had gone when he arrived. He phoned to Mount Vernon, but the train was on the way to Fairfield. He then phoned to Sheriff Bozarth, who arrested and jailed the trio. They then restored the money and jewelry and were allowed to go on to Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, they let him go.
Yeah.
Okay. So their cousin's wife was killed in a car wreck.
Yeah.
So that's why they came to Flora.
Yeah.
And they get to the funeral home, but the cousin's not even there yet. He's in Centralia.
Yeah.
His wife is dead at the funeral home in Flora.
Yeah.
But he's in Centralia and isn't even going to come back to Flora until Tuesday.
Yeah.
So they take her jewelry and her money.
And her money.
And Branson probably lets them because he thinks they're taking it to Centralia to give to the husband.
Apparently.
But they didn't. Instead, they got on a train
And headed back
to Louisville.
Back to Louisville, but got arrested in Fairfield.
That is a crazy story. And, that's a good example of, like, crazy things have always been happening. Even, like, today it's easy to say there's bad people everywhere and people are just doing all this, illegal stuff. But, man, it was even going on back then. Like, just, why would you do that?
I don't know.
And why wouldn't, it's Centralia to Flora. It is an hour drive.
Right.
Why would the husband, whose wife just died, not just get in the car and be like, I'm going to Flora. My wife is at the funeral home. Like, I need to meet with the funeral home. Why was he still in Centralia? For work?
I don't know. Good question.
So bizarre.
I know it. Let's see what else this little paper held. Okay. Burial to be at Flora. Let's see who died. On Wednesday morning, Mr. and Mrs. Gus Mallion of Detroit, Michigan, parents of Mrs. Milligan, is that the one that just died?
Yes.
So this is where we're burying her, arrived in Flora, and after a conference with funeral director Branson, it was decided to bury Mrs. Milligan in the Flora Cemetery. The interment will probably take place Friday morning.
What day did they arrive?
Wednesday morning.
They arrived on Wednesday, and they made the decision of where to bury her. Apparently, the loser husband was living in, I'm betting, this is my guess, that he was living in Centralia, and they weren't even a couple.
Yeah.
They were probably still married, but separated. Her parents came into town and took over.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's an interesting story.
Yeah. Not a fan of Mr. Milligan.
Me either. But she is buried at
And
Elmwood.
his loser cousins.
Loser cousins.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's an interesting story.
Let's see. Placed. This is a different one. I don't have the whole thing, but I got to read just what part I didn't shut off. Placed under bond for using knife. Thursday morning, about 8 o'clock, at the Delbert Thomas farm in Stanford Township, where men were shredding, Lowell Warren, son of J.A. Warren, used a knife on Glenn Welsh's son, son of Guy Welsh, making an ugly wound in the back, which required the services of Dr. Henderson of Clay City.
He stabbed him in the back?
Apparently. Maybe that's where the term backstabbers come from. A warrant was issued, charged with assault of a deadly weapon. What happened there?
What is shredding?
What is shredding?
I know what it means today is to shred toilet paper and leave it in people's grass. But I don't know what it meant in that year.
In probably the 30s.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Let me see that picture and see if I can come up with a date.
Yeah. So what are you thinking about that? Yeah, I'm wondering about that picture.
Yeah. Commander-in-Chief of the, okay, Shriners. Yeah, it's a shame that not all the newspapers put the dates on everything.
On everything?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking it's because like this one's September. This one, I got the date. It's September 1930. Most of these are. A lot of these have a lot of these do have, they're like from the 30s. Mm-hmm. Like, because like a lot of these, like Rena had actually put like March 17th, 1935, 34. You know, she did take the dates on stuff. Are you gonna do some fancy Googling? Oh, you gonna do Find a Grave?
Yep, on Bernice.
On who?
That was Mrs. Milligan.
Milligan, yeah.
Yeah, Bernice Milligan.
Oh, Find a Grave is the most interesting. That's the greatest thing ever.
We're going to get to the bottom of this mystery.
We've got to find the bottom of this mystery. Yeah, because I wonder how old she was if she was killed in a car wreck. Find a Grave is the most interesting thing that there is out there. Ty, we're going to get excited about this episode, and you're going to have to tell us when to take commercial breaks, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Does it say?
We're good to take one now.
Oh, we're good to take one now. Okay, well, we'll be right back.
If you're looking for a loan for your brand new home, call Clay County State Bank. If you want to transfer money so your future will look sunny, call Clay County State Bank.
We got checking and savings and bill pay too.
An online bank, just ask our crew. For all your banking needs, we think you will agree.
Clay County State Bank is the place you need to be.
Clay County State Bank.
Tomorrow. Some fear the uncertainty it brings. Some trust the promise it holds. At Grinnell Mutual, we are always looking forward to tomorrow, growing and innovating. So even if the plans you have for the future aren't the same as the plans that the future holds for you, you can be ready. Because we'll be ready, like we have been for over 100 years. Trust in that. Trust in tomorrow. Talk to your mutual agent today.
Your local agent is on the square. Louisville, Clay County, Farmers Mutual Insurance.
At Clay City Banking Company, we're all on the same team, regardless of zip code. At home, work, school, or across the country, you can be part of our team with our cutting-edge mobile banking products. From your hand, you can check balances, transfer money, make deposits, and pay bills. Looking for a loan? We've got you covered with our mortgage, agriculture, commercial, and consumer loans. Join our team today. Clay City, Flora, Louisville, and Fairfield Banking Companies. We're the hometown banks, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I'm Beth Cooper.
I'm Stacey Earlywine, and we are having difficulty hunting.
Yeah, so the mystery deepens here. Little Mrs. Milligan isn't actually buried anywhere in Florida, or at least there's no record of it that I can find of her. So,
but she was from Xenia. There's a cemetery over in Xenia, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, she died over by Xenia. I'm not sure that she was from there.
I don't know.
Her parents drove from Detroit, Michigan. I wonder if they actually ended up taking her back.
Back to Detroit.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, you keep talking, and I'm going to keep searching for her.
Okay. Flora Cubs. Okay, this is a good one. Flora Cubs play Reinhard Stars Sunday. Next Sunday, September 21st, which is a great day because I was born on September 21st.
Mm-hmm.
The Reinhard Stars will be at the Flora West Y ballpark for the game scheduled with the Flora Cubs. Now, the West Y, where would they be playing ball at the West Y?
Well, was there a ball field there? Because
I don't know. This is going to see with these newspapers comes new things we need to go find.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to find out if anybody knows about a ball field down at the West Y, which would have been the old Mooresville, remember?
Mm-hmm.
The game will be called at 2:30 p.m. Reinhard is expected to give the Cubs some good competition this time. Flora played East St. Louis B and O's last Sunday and won with a score of 6-0. Come and see Flora win from Reinhard. Flora Battery Persinger, Masterson C. Venable, and Wilt. Admission only 25 cents. The Cubs earlier in the season were going steadily in the hole and finally had to cancel their remaining games as they were not receiving proper support from the Flora fans. It was said that at some of the games, not a Flora businessman was in attendance.
Oh, my.
We have a good ball team, one that puts us on the map in the sports world, and it is worthy while to support them. We hope more can see their way clear to spend a quarter and help the boys along, besides getting their money's worth at each game. Come on, let's go. This kind of weather is ideal for baseball. That's a fun one.
Wow.
Yeah, Flora Cubs play Reinhard Stars. Okay, now when you drive through Reinhard, can you believe at one time they actually had a baseball team?
No. Mm-mm.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one. Pansy Hoskins trial.
Ooh, a trial.
Yeah. In county court last Tuesday resulted in a hung jury and the dismissal by Judge Kerr. Second trial Thursday. The time of the Clay County Court last Tuesday was occupied with the trial of Mrs. Pansy Hoskins of Flora, charged with handling intoxicating liquors. Judge Kerr of Fairfield presided on account of a change of venue granted defendant by Judge Rao. It was a jury trial. Are we really having a jury trial over liquor?
I guess so.
Well, this is 1930.
Mm-hmm.
Bootlegging?
Yep.
Wonder if she lived on Can Alley.
Could have been. For those that don't remember, Can Alley is South Mill.
South Mill.
And back in the day, that in Florida, that's where all the bootlegging went down. We talked about that on an earlier episode.
So fun.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I go down South Mill now, I think about the bootlegging. That would have been a fun time. Where am I? Mrs. Hosk. Okay, wait. It was a jury trial, and the prosecution used 6 witnesses. Mrs. Hoskins was the only witness for the defense. She denied guilt, claiming the booze belonged to her husband, who made his getaway when the recent raid was made. The jury retired about 4 o'clock and after an all-night session came into court Wednesday morning reporting that they had agreed to disagree and were discharged by Judge Kerr. The judge ordered a second trial for 9 o'clock Thursday morning. State's attorney Clarence T. Smith prosecuted the case while attorney Chaz Crowder defended. Ha! Well, that's fun. Can you believe that?
Yeah. I'm still stuck on this Milligan thing.
Yeah.
And it's like they didn't even exist. So, like, I've also searched for her mother and father, who were named as Gus Mallion of Detroit, Michigan. Maybe that is a misspelling on behalf of this paper. I don't know. But, like, they don't exist, like, anywhere in the United States. Like, there's nobody with that name ever.
Huh.
So they don't exist. There's several Bernice Milligans that are buried in the United States, but all of them died in their 80s and 90s, not young, in a car accident.
Interesting.
I wonder. My thoughts on this is like maybe she's at Elmwood in a pauper's grave.
Oh yeah.
Because I've been told there are just as many graves that you can't see at Elmwood Cemetery as the ones you can see. There are just as many unmarked graves as there are marked. So when you drive by and you looked at that many marked graves, just know there's really double that amount of people buried there.
So, like, where would those be?
In between, like where you walk and there's just a little bit bigger space between some than others.
Because like, so would those plots would they have been sold then?
Yeah.
Or is that just?
Yeah, I think
there's just no marking.
Right, they couldn't afford to put anything there. And I think when somebody died and it was, like they didn't know who they were or they were a transient or someone from the railroad, that the city just covered the cost of the digging the hole. But yeah. That's what I was told by a former
that's
cemetery employee.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a very good. But I did track down the Lambert Lally, the thief that stole the necklace.
Oh, really? Whatever happened to him?
Well, he died in Louisville, Kentucky in 19. Let's see, this is his wife. In 1985, he lived a long life, had 2 different wives and several children. So. Maybe he put his thieving days behind him.
Well, interesting.
Yeah.
That's an interesting story, though.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about more. Let's talk about the Republican meeting at Louisville next Thursday afternoon with Carlstrom, Smith, and Yates as the speaker. Statewide, countywide campaign. You know, do politicians really do this type of thing anymore? Really go around to anywhere besides like big places? They really don't anymore, do they? Beginning next Monday, September 22nd, the Republican State Central Committee begins a statewide campaign by counties, and Southern Illinois will be first visited. I mean, honestly, with the exception of Darren Bailey, have we ever had a candidate ever come to Clay County?
Yeah, I mean, there's different ones that you would have office hours and stuff, like elected officials that have been around.
Have they come around? I guess
sure.
I don't pay attention.
Yeah, they have.
The headliners for the speaking campaign included Ruth Hands, McCormick, Richard Yates, Frank L. Smith, Francis G. Blair, Clarence F. Buck, Senator Glenn, Oscar E. Carlstrom. 3 of these speakers, Attorney General Oscar E. Carlstrom, Frank L. Smith, and Richard Yates, are to be at Louisville on next Thursday, September 23rd at 1 o'clock for a public speaking meeting. And as this will be the only appearance of the state candidates in this county, all Clay County voters, both men and women, are invited to be at Louisville next Thursday to hear the campaign discussed. Wow. So you never know.
Nope.
Come out and listen to that. And then the booster man attention, Sunday morning, 9:30. The booster class of the Christian Church will have a good program, at the close of which Professor Brian R. Lewis of Bridgeport will bring the lecture on a popular subject. The popular subject in which all are interested. Doesn't say what it is. Professor Lewis is well known. He has spoken here before in the class on former occasions and is always pleasing to your ears. Doesn't say what he's going to talk about, but you're going to like it.
Pleasing to your ears.
Pleasing to your ears. Oh, my goodness. What do we got, Ty? How good are we?
You got like 4 minutes.
Okay. Let's see what this one is. Okay, this one is something. Let's see here. Welfare workers from 13 counties at meeting here.
Okay.
November 21st, 1935. Welfare workers from 13 counties of the 8th District attended a meeting at the Methodist Church here on Thursday afternoon and evening when Mrs. Zimmerman, Director of Child Welfare for the State Department of Public Welfare, delivered an address. Mrs. Zimmerman stressed the need of more and better facilities for the care of children, bringing out the fact that the state fund is limited and most of it is being used in the care of veterans' children. She advised counties and communities to feel more responsibility in creating better conditions for the care of children. Following a dinner served at 6 o'clock by the church women, Mrs. Foster of Harrisburg, head of the WPA National Youth Movement for this district, gave a talk explaining work being done along that line. So in 1935, 13 counties met at the Methodist Church.
Interesting that her name was Mrs. Foster, who led the meeting about taking care of foster kids.
Uh-huh. Isn't that something?
I went to school with some Fosters down at Harrisburg. It could have been their great-grandmother.
Yeah. Okay, this is weird. This is just weird. Mrs. Sarah E. Cameron and daughter, Mrs. Martha Merle, were called to Olney Tuesday to see Mrs. Cameron's brother, L.R. Case, who is in very serious condition at the Olney Sanitarium.
That's like the Facebook of 1935. What's the story there about a wreck?
Vincent Tolliver is killed in a car wreck at Aveston, March 17, 1935. Vincent Tolliver of Louisville was instantly killed, and Mary Ann Tisdale, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. E. Tisdale of this city, was critically injured Sunday morning at 12:30 o'clock when their car was hit by a truck on the highway east of Aveston as they were returning from St. Louis, where they had been visiting Mrs. Tisdale's mother, who is a patient in a hospital there. 2 other persons in the car, whose names have not been learned, escaped injury. Few of the details of the accident have been learned, but it is said the truck turned suddenly to the left, hitting the car driven by Tolliver. Mrs. Tisdale was removed to the Breeze Hospital, where her injuries were thought to be serious. It was expected, however, that she would be able to be removed to her home here today. Tolliver, who was 24 years of age, was dead when helped arrive. He is the son of former Judge and Mrs. A.N. Tolliver of Louisville. The body was removed from the scene of the wreck to the Glarden Funeral Home in Louisville. Funeral arrangements have not yet been completed.
That's terribly sad.
Oh, isn't that sad? Yeah, and then here is his obituaries right here. Funeral service for Vincent Tolliver at the M.E. Church Tuesday afternoon, March 19th. Funeral services were held for Vincent Kincaid Tolliver, son of Judge and Mrs. A.N. Tolliver, who was instantly killed early Sunday morning when the car he was driving was struck by a truck near Aveston. Reverend George W. Leathers, pastor of the Baptist Church, was in charge, assisted by Reverend Henry Hare, pastor, Emmy Church, the male quartet, Hal Pulliam, E.C. Craig, I.E. Eichmeyer, and H.D. McCollum sang the hymns, Sometime We'll Understand, Home of the Soul, and Rock of Ages. Miss Myrtle Wilson at the piano. Pallbearers were Paul Kincaid, Gerald Camschrader, Thomas Wynn, Lowell Tolliver, Burville Kincaid, and Brian Tolliver. Floral offerings were many and beautiful. Vincent was 24 years of age. On February 14th, he was a graduate of the Louisville High School class of 1930 and was a student at McHenry College for 3 years. He had been reading law with his father. Burial was in Orchard Hill Cemetery.
That's so sad.
That is a sad story.
Yes.
That is a sad story, but we probably need to take a commercial break now. We'll be right back.
Do you bowl like this? That's great. Do you bowl like this? That's great too. That's because whether you're a pro or you just want to have a lot of fun, at Peggle's Silver Dollar Lanes, we have a lane for you. We have galaxy bowling, gaming for kids and adults, Joe's Pizza, a full bar, darts, pool, and fresh and clean bowling shoes. Boy, does that smell nice. So come on down to Peggle Silver Dollar Lanes in Effingham, where we have a lane for you.
My name is Robin Stanford. I own Stanford Marketing. It's a promotional products business along with an embroidery business. And we do custom hats, t-shirts, anything, you name it, we can make it. People like that we do stuff in-house and we can actually make things here and that we're not contracting the work out to other places. We never say no. We always try to find a way to do it. If anybody can do it, we can do it. We are hardworking women, that is for sure. Come to Stanford Marketing in Flora for all your custom and promotional needs.
Give me our lumber. Doors, paint, windows, electrical, plumbing, and much more. Oh yeah, give me all your guns too.
John Lucas,
What?
you better be dreaming about all the stuff we sell here at Zink Building Center.
Oh, I would. Zink Building Center in Louisville on Route 45. It's a cool place.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I'm Beth Cooper.
I'm Stacey Earlywine, and we're just going over some newspaper articles that we found at Don Thomas's house that Rena had over the years. And boy, you do come across some interesting things, don't you? We've come across a bootlegger.
Yep.
A young lady that was killed in a car wreck, and then her jewels and money were stolen.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and then names that you kind of forget about, and then it's kind of always good to bring up some of the other things. I found also a book written by Lowell Greenlaw, and it was about local interest. So we know about the Greenlaw family.
Yep.
From Florida, we've touched on the Greenlaws before. Orchardville College, highly respected in Florida. I do you remember were the Greenlaws one of the first residents of Florida?
They were early. I don't remember if they were one of the first,
but they were early on. Yeah. This is New York, New York. Lowell M. Greenlaw, former vice president and general counsel of the Pullman Company, has written a magnificent history of a family. Georgia Fay, Story of an American Family, published December 15th by Exposition Press, New York. The book can be purchased at the Cunningham's gift shop. Okay. You know how I feel about the Cunningham's gift shop. When we were talking about Cunningham, they had a gift shop and a jewelry store in town. And I'm going to tell you what was Cunningham's first name? Which we need to do him, too, on the cemetery tour.
Yeah, I think he's been done before.
Has he?
I think.
Did you get somebody really cute to play him? Because he
I don't
was
remember.
He was so handsome. Do you remember how cute he was?
Yeah, he was cute. Let's just, we'll have to redo the Cunningham show. It's been a while since we did that one, and you can watch it on YouTube, I'm sure.
It
Go
is.
back on our earlier videos. There's one titled Cunningham's. And
it was good. Yeah,
and his shop was super nice,
It was very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Sorry, anytime I talk about the Cunningham story, he's so good looking. He was good looking.
If we could go back in time to Flora back then, she'd be going to Cunningham's store.
I would be going to Cunningham's store all the time. I would be Stacey Cunningham. Sorry, Jim, but if you could go back in time, that's what I'd go.
Oh, funny.
This book is of special interest here. Inasmuch as Mr. Greenlaw is the former resident of Flora, the son of the late Mr. and Mrs. T.B. Greenlaw, and the brother of Mrs. R.J. Cunningham, still living here. In addition, much of Flora's history is woven into the story, and many local residents are mentioned. It is the stirring inspirational story of a remarkable woman and her family, and a dramatically true portrayal of 7 decades of great American cavalcade, beginning with small-town life in central and southern Illinois. In the 1880s, it moves on to robust, booming Chicago, but just after the turn of the century was troubled with corruption, but fulfilled with achievements. Then across the states, as over a checkboard, this unique portrayal of life in America assumes broader scope as the scenes change to Europe and other places beyond nation's border. But above all, this is the powerful story of the fascinating Georgia Fay, encompassing her formative years, her one great love, courtship, marriage, and the actual day-by-day and spiritual beauty of her blissful family life. A deep humility tempered her worldliness and sophistication, the products of her extensive travel and artistic interest. She never once forgot her beloved hometown of Morrisonville, Illinois, nor the turbulent Chicago she knew so well and loved. Her everyday life, marked by a quiet faith in God and reverence for places of worship, was a powerful influence for good on all who knew her. There are light, frivolous moments of warm remembrance and spiritual inspiration, and an underlying current both serious and informative, pertaining to Chicago's growth during the last half-century, to the churches of Chicago and foreign lands, to history connected with places visited, and to important businesses and railroad activities through the 2 world wars. Lowell M. Greenlaw was the young man who married Georgia Fay. A great deal about his early life and law activities are to be found in the pages of this book. Retired from the positions of Vice President and General Counsel of the Pullman Company and the Pullman Incorporated after 42 years of service, which began in 1908. He is a member of the American Bar Association, the Union League Club of Chicago, the Illinois State Historical Society, and a lifelong member of the Methodist Church. Exhaustive research, painstaking care, and lucid expression make Georgia Fay a dependable, exciting chronicle of the life and the times of an American family. It is a true story told without moralizing or preaching, and one that is intensely dramatic, absorbing, and profound.
I love the name Georgia Fay.
Georgia Fay. Lowell Greenlaw, the son of Mr. Greenlaw. That's another.
Yep.
Isn't that? Yeah. What is the name? So the book is Georgia Fay. Is that the name of the book?
I didn't know.
Yeah. Written, A Magnificent Story of Family, Georgia Fay, Story of an American Family. Published in December. I bet the name of the book's Georgia Fay.
I'm going to see if it's on Amazon.
Georgia Fay, Story of an American Family. Because if it is, I'm going to order it. Because it talks about...
F-A-Y or F-A-Y-E?
F-A-Y-E.
Okay.
Yeah, Georgia Fay. I wonder if the library has it.
Georgia Fay, Story of an American Family by Lowell Greenlaw. It is available in hardcover.
Oh, it's on Amazon.
614 pages. It is published in English. And there are no new copies available, but there are used ones available.
All right. I'm going to order that then.
2 options. There's 2 out there.
Okay. I'm going to order one as soon as we take a commercial break.
Let's see if it has any reviews. It doesn't have any reviews. No one else has read it. Can you believe it?
No. Well, I'm going to read it. So anyway, that's an interesting thing. Yeah, that's cool.
You can find anything on Amazon.
I know it. Isn't it crazy?
Yes.
I'm going to end on this last one because I got time to read this last one.
Okay.
Memories of Flora. This is another one. Editor's note. The following excerpts are from a booklet by Clarence Virgil Price entitled Memories of Flora, concerning his memories from the turn of the century. The memories continue. Earlier references have been made of the Hancock Funeral Home. On one of my visits back to Flora, we were passing their place. Inasmuch as the Hancocks used the downstairs for parties, this friend of mine said, when we get near the Hancocks, we can find out whether they have a party or a body. So should we remind everybody where the Hancock Funeral Home was?
Sure.
That's where Haskell lives.
That was the Branson.
Oh, I thought Hancock's was the... Am I wrong?
I think that was Branson.
Oh, that's Branson. Was Hancock where the Greenlaws?
Yes.
Where Orchardville was at?
Yes, I think so.
So where Orchardville College was the Hancock Funeral Home, and then it was also what we would know, some of us would know, Cardascio Funeral Home.
Yes.
The Hostelton book out.
And I think I said on an earlier episode that had also been Branson at some point, but I don't think it was. It was Branson was the house
at Haskell's.
And then it was where Frankenbright is now, was Branson Funeral Home.
Okay. Thank you for that. Mm-hmm. La 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 la. At the grocery store, much delivering was made. As I remember, Ben Maxey and his wife only brought their bread from us. We had a box of bread come in from St. Louis each day. I think we made 1 cent per loaf, and on this bread.
Wow.
I think the name was McKinney bread. Mrs. Maxey would come into the store on her way home and give us an order for 1 loaf of bread. I was delegated to make the delivery. I followed her, or preceded her, with this loaf of bread under my arm. The mental darts were shot in her direction. Italian musicians, itinerant, would appear on the streets, and this was always an incentive to get up and dance at night. We got busy and hired the opera house. This music was good, and we had a good time. We would rub some of the dirt from the floor and could move around over it after spreading some slick stuff on it. One of the big changes in the first 50 years has been in the dress of the women. My sister Grace and her crowd were members of the gay 90s crowd. At that time, they were long skirts with severely confined in foundational garments, with emphasis around the waist, leg, mutton sleeves, heavily plumbed hats. We had a croquet set in our yard, and many boisterous games were witnessed. I have already written of sleigh rides and hay rides. These were enjoyable occasions. Before the days of automobiles, a sleigh would travel all night without passing anything on the road. The horses came to a well-earned rest at nightfall. One night on a sleigh ride, Dope Warner got the reins. At this time, some girls and I had gotten out to walk and warm up a little. After a while, we wanted to get back in the sleigh, but when we attempted it, he whipped the horses. We walked much of this trip. A hay ride was on a lot of hay. A hay ride was on a lot of hay on a wagon. We sang all of the curtain songs, such as On the Banks of the Wabash, In Old Virginia, Sweet Adeline, Good Night, Ladies, etc. This was a fine experience on a moonlit night. Our baseball team was the Flora B&Os. I do not remember
cute.
the whole team, but Doodle Lentz was our star pitcher. Hammock was on first base. Charlie Garland was at shortstop, and Eliza Greenwood was one of our fielders. Hammock had one of those spectacular ways of spearing balls, and we thought a lot of him. Charlie Garland was at shortstop, was a little bow-legged, and I hoped I would grow bow-legged so I would have a chance to make this baseball team. Doolittle Lentz was signed up, but some of Michigan teams were sure he was headed to the big league. He became ill that season, and it was cut short.
Oh, gosh. Well, we need to go to our joke at the end of the show because we're about out of time. We got about 1 minute left.
Okay, I'm just going to pick one up.
I hope it's clean.
I hope it's clean.
Fingers crossed.
I was in Sears and put some things on the checkout counter. The clerk asked, "Are you going to buy these?" I said, "Nope, I'm going to steal them, but I just wanted you to see them first."
Good answer.
That's it for today.
As always, thanks for joining us. We had a great time, and we will see you next time.
God bless you and have a great day.